Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome in. Hello, everybody coming in. I know there's just two in here so far. Go ahead and repost the live, like the live, share it out. Send your daily heart me if you haven't. We have a gifting goal at the top for 100 roses right now. If you can meet that, that would be great. Tonight we are meeting with Bobby Tillman. Bobby is running for Texas Senate, State Senate District 3. So that's in East Texas, and that's mostly like a rural area. Bobby, so it looks like he's lived and worked in the region for decades. He's a 5th generation Texan and resident of the district he seeks to represent. He spent over 40 years in the commercial flooring industry and the last 15 years raising beef cattle in East Texas. Tillman, he is running as a Democratic candidate for Senate District 3. He didn't have to run in the primary because he was uncontested. I think that's the word. Sorry. Nobody ran against him in the Democratic primary. So he just has November to run against the Republican nominee. Unopposed is the word. It's been a long day. Yeah, so some of the counties he looks to be covering: Anderson County, Angelina, Cherokee, Hardin, Henderson, Houston County, Jasper, 76% of Jefferson County, Liberty County, Nacogdoches, Newton, Orange, Polk, Sabine, San Augustine, Shelby, Trinity, Tyler. Okay, so I'm not too familiar with a lot of these counties other than Nacogdoches and Houston County, of course, but I don't know. Interesting. Yeah, very, very rural area. My father-in-law and his new wife live out in Palestine, Texas. So I think it's pronounced Palestine. Let's see, where is everybody? Let me go ahead and share the live out. Oh, thank you for texting him. Hopefully he'll come in soon. I'm just sharing this out to all my friends. For some reason, I don't know if anyone else is having this problem, but TikTok will not let me click on the host's picture and share that way like you used to be able to. So, yeah, I don't know. My mouth is super dry. I should have drank some water before this. Okay, so hopefully that'll summon some people to come in here. So it is March 13th, or Friday the 13th. Interesting day. For me, it's not been unlucky. However, I can't say it's really been super lucky either, so just another day for me. If anyone else has had a different experience, let me know. If you tend to feel like Friday the 13th is an unlucky day for you and things just go wrong. I'm curious to see if there's people out there that have that experience. Um, hmm. So, Texas just had their primaries on March 3rd. Um, a lot of people came out and voted during the primaries this time, which was interesting because not a lot of people vote during the primaries, especially in Texas. So this year was interesting. It had a higher turnout, which was great. Yeah. I don't know what else to say about it. I guess it was just a really good overall turnout. I mean, um, text and shared the link. Awesome. Thank you, Ayana. Everybody else, you could just coming in, just tap the live. Let's get up to 5K in the next 15 minutes if we can, 20 minutes. We're just waiting on Bobby Tillman to come in. Bobby is our candidate we are interviewing for tonight's town hall. He is from Texas Senate District 3. So that's in East Texas, and that's a very rural area. Lots of farming, cattle, ranching, things like that. A lot of small towns, but very pretty out there. Um, so while we're waiting, has anyone had anything interesting happen to them today for Friday the 13th? Anything unlucky, or maybe something that was super lucky? Um, Anything? Okay, well. Um,
Hey, what's up, Joni?
not a lot. Just hanging out.
I
How are
see.
you?
So, what part of Texas is Senate District 3?
So it's East Texas. That is um closer to Louisiana. It's
Oh,
where people cross the border to go to the casinos and stuff like that because we cannot gamble in Texas.
you can't even play the lottery?
Well, yeah, you can play the lottery, but you can't go to. We don't have casinos. They're banned.
No casinos in
Interesting.
Texas? That seems like a very
No
Texas thing, like a
casino.
casino. You walk into the casino
You
with
would
your boots
think,
on and
considering
kick over some tables.
isn't there a
Texas
game like
Hold'em.
that has Texas Hold'em? Yes, I thought so.
And I
Yeah,
guess you can play that
it's
without a casino, maybe.
yeah, yeah.
So I'm looking at this. They had a tornado the other day in that
Oh,
part of Texas.
I didn't know that, but that would make sense
Yeah.
because the weather was kind of crazy here in Central Texas. So
And it's crazy here today. I
yeah.
I was sure it was a tornado, but no, it's just strong
Oh yeah.
winds. Just some strong, strong winds. Apparently,
I saw.
this part of Texas, I'm sorry to interrupt you, very important information. This is a tourist in what's the word? A tourist destination.
Oh really?
You're like, I didn't know that.
I no, I really didn't because I feel like there's nothing out there, but maybe I'm wrong.
Oh, don't say that. No, you could take a
I
day
know.
trip. A day trip to East Texas.
Yeah. Well, to
Tyler.
be
Tyler
honest,
is a popular spot. Tyler,
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 Texas.
Texas. Yes.
Um,
You got the
okay.
Blue Hole. That's what she said. You got the Azalea Trail. You got
Okay.
Full Moon near Paris, Texas. Apparently, that's something when you get the full moon
Oh,
there.
Paris. Yes. Paris,
Yeah.
Texas. Okay. I didn't know that was east. I thought that was somewhere else. Okay.
A place called Hog Creek Falls,
Hmm.
the 15 feet
Okay.
falls in northern Jasper County, right? You got Jefferson, Texas. Pine Island, Pine Island Bayou. Ooh, I like a good bayou. Got the fog
Okay.
coming up off of the water.
Yeah.
See, you need to, Joni, let me tell you something. You only
I'm a
live
city girl.
once. You
I
gotta,
stay in
you
the
live in
city.
this huge state, Joni. You gotta get
I
out to
know.
the other, it's so many things to do in the state of Texas. You gotta get
Yeah.
out. You gotta get out and around. Go visit the bayous.
It's just too
Go.
much land, too much driving. Like, literally, you could drive a whole day and still be in Texas. I don't get it.
That's exciting to me. If you drive 4 hours from where I live, you're at the end of Ohio. That's it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that sounds like they got some state parks and some eateries. And yes,
Okay.
you're
I
right.
guess I'm gonna have to go travel.
It's bordering Louisiana. I wonder if they have like a Texas Louisiana accent.
Oh, I'm sure. Probably.
Hmm.
Now I'm curious. I really need to go visit. Maybe go to the Shreveport casino.
Their biggest issue, Joni, their biggest issue is their critical lack of public tornado shelters. They don't have enough
Yeah, that's a
tornado
problem.
shelters. Where
Oh,
do you
Bobby is
guys?
here.
Oh, he's here. Great. Now I
He's
can shut
here.
up. Now I can shut up.
But as far as tornadoes, we kind of just go on the front porch and watch. At least
No,
I
you do not. You don't have a shelter?
No.
I bet you Bobby has a shelter. Bobby, do you have a tornado shelter?
Do not have a tornado
Uh-oh.
shelter.
I think you may have an echo. Oh, yeah, you got an echo.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you. I could just hear myself. Like you have some feedback.
Yeah, I'm in
I
a.
don't like the way I sound.
Let me get in this room. I'm at another event. I thought it was at 8 o'clock. I'm sorry.
Oh,
It is
yeah,
8 o'clock.
I'm sorry
8 o'clock
about that.
Eastern.
Yeah, I got that now when I looked down. I'm sorry. So I'm trying to find a light for this room. So yeah, I'm at a Texas Together party. So let me go somewhere where it's quieter.
Okay.
So
Okay, I will drop myself.
there's a room here, but there's no light.
See you.
Let me go find somewhere for the place. Sorry.
You're fine. Take your time. Well,
Thank you.
take it as much time as you need.
So,
And while we're waiting, if everybody in the audience can tap the screen, let's get up to 5,000 likes. Hopefully in the next 15 minutes, and share it out to all the friends and guests.
can y'all see me or just hear me?
We can hear you. We can't see you. But
This
do
is
you
my
have
first.
an echo?
This is my first TikTok live. So, I mean, I'm in a room by myself. It shouldn't be an echo. Maybe it's a bad connection.
Do you know how to put your phone in airplane mode?
Yes.
Can you do that and then? Okay. Yep. There we go. Hopefully that'll help. But yeah, everybody please tap. Share the live out, send a heart me, send some roses, and we'll get this thing going. And then come back. Yes, please. Bobby, if you can hear us, please come back to TikTok. Okay, goodbye, Bobby. He'll come back.
Airplane mode turned everybody off.
Yes, it seems like it's better now. I don't hear an echo. But we just hear you, we don't see you.
Is there a button to hit? I'm looking on here to see. I mean, I don't see anything that says camera, like on Zoom or nothing. Here we go.
You got it? Here, I'll invite you to turn your camera on. Okay. I think we're good.
Sorry, guys. This is, like I said, my
It's
first.
muted.
Yeah, I'm trying to find all the buttons here on my phone.
That's okay. How are you doing, Bobby?
Doing good. We just got through with a little talk here with Kendall Scudder here in Tyler, Texas. So had a little meeting for the Democratic Party real quick, and so we're done with it. So
All right. Well, very cool. How do you feel being a Democrat in such a Republican area?
it's no different. I mean, I've always been that way. I just never been a
Yeah.
candidate before, so I've always been, you know, I found out through running as a candidate that I'm a progressive Democrat. So I just thought I was a normal person. So I didn't, didn't know about caring for people and making sure everybody had, equal rights was a progressive move. So, but it evidently it is. So, but yet
Apparently.
I'm in a super, super MAGA red district. Even in the primary, we had an awesome, incredible, historical primary vote, and it was 74% Republican to 26% Democrat on the primaries. So, but we'll see how that was. It's got to get better, hopefully. So,
Yeah. Well, we'll get the word. Hopefully, we'll get the word out here. Everyone, please share this out to your friends. Again, so for everyone just coming in, my name is Joni, and I'm going to be your moderator tonight. We have Bobby Tillman here with us. He is hailing from East Texas, Senate District 3. So that's mostly rural area. He currently was unopposed in the Democratic primary,
right.
and then you just have to run against the Republican
Right. I'm running against
candidate
yeah,
in November.
Trent Ashby won.
Drew Nashville?
Trent Ashby.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
he won against Rhonda Ward, which he's a state representative for, I believe, I don't remember the district, but it's in this same county, just not as many. So he's been in office for 13 years, so he's pretty much an incumbent.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, thank you for joining us tonight. Just a quick reminder for everyone, our Vote Counts is a nonpartisan coalition of citizens. We're from diverse states and backgrounds. We're united by a shared commitment to empowering voters and promoting promoting candidates who stand for integrity, inclusion, and accountability in upcoming elections. We're formed by a collective of educators, veterans, small business owners, students, and community advocates. And our Vote Counts represents the strength of unity across geography, race, and ideology. And while our stories are different, our mission is the same, to ensure that every voice is heard and every vote truly counts. Our Vote Counts is more than a name. It's a promise, a movement, and a rallying cry for democracy. So together we are shaping the future one informed vote at a time. Mr. Bobby, for those meeting you for the first time, can you tell us a little about yourself and why you chose to run for this state Senate seat?
My name is Bobby Tillman. I'm running for Texas State Senate here in District 3, which is East Texas, which is 18 counties from Athens, Texas, all the way down to southeast, all the way down to Jefferson to Beaumont City. I'm a fifth generation Texan. My family came over here from Georgia in the 1880s. My great grandfather established a bunch of land here and farmed it, and through the generations, I ended up inheriting. I've got a small little ranch now, 100 acres. I run black Angus beef on it. I've been in the commercial flooring business, which basically I'm a carpet layer, but I do more than carpet, but that's easier to describe to everybody what I do. My dad did it, so at 3 years old, I knew exactly what I was going to do. I was going to be just like my dad. So I got into the business. I went to Texas Tech for one day, and I knew what I was going to do. I'm like, Dad, I'm wasting money, wasting time. So I got out, went to work, opened my first business at 18 years old. And it's still the same business I'm going now, which is I sell labor is what I sell. I'm semi-retired. Mainly my income comes from my cattle, my beef. I don't sell beef, I sell calves. I'm a calf producer. So like I said, I got in this. I just can't sit back and the Republicans have been in office for the last almost 30 years. They're not representing me or my values or my son. Even my dad's a MAGA Republican, and they're not representing him, even though he votes that way. They're taking away health care, they're taking away our education. Everybody's it's the billionaires doing for the corporate world. Texas is the 8th largest economy in the nation, and I think we're 41 on education, and we're like number 2 in and people having a hard time with their bills, myself included. I'm not a rich guy. I don't have medical insurance. I can't afford it. I've had all the money I've ever needed, and I've been broke, a time or two. Like I said, I'm trying to make it better. I want to. My number one priority is the economy. We got to do something about the economy. We got to get it rolling. My number one step is affordable to free childcare. That'll bring $12,000 to $15,000 into these East Texans, to help out, and then it'll put somebody else back to work. Expanding Medicaid. And that brings $5 billion into the economy. Plus, that brings in more workers and more nurses and everything else. So it's actually more like $10 billion they're bringing to the economy. Here in East Texas, they're closing down hospitals. I mean, they're even the hospitals that are open. They're not accepting maternity. You got to go to a big city 2 or 3 hours away when you're having a baby. Or you have it in your car.
Well, we'll get into all. I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm not trying to interrupt, but we are actually going to ask you all those questions.
Okay,
So
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
glad that you were giving us kind of a summary of what we're about to talk about. I did want to ask you an icebreaker question. What's a hobby you've had to put on the back burner since starting your campaign?
Yeah, you know what? I really don't have any hobbies other than my farm. I mean, it's when I'm not at work at my flooring business. If I'm not working, I'm at my farm. The last 2 days, I've been in the
Yeah.
tractor mowing. I mean, that relaxes me. I got I got rescue dogs. I've got 7 rescue dogs, and they live on the farm with me. I was a single father. I'm a single man now. I live by myself, so I get out there and relax. I'll get in my tractor and I'll just mow or disc or bale hay. Work. I mean, I just work relaxes me. That's my now as far as a hobby. I just like to tinker. I mean, I've got a big shop, I got welders and cutters, and I work on my cattle trailer. I work on my cars. I've got an old car that I'm restoring. I kind of tinker. I do this for a little bit, do this for a little bit, then go back to this and just try to stay busy. So I'm not putting anything on hold. Fortunately, I got into this and I'm kind of semi-retired. So I have time to run for office, but I don't get to pick and choose when I work. I got to work when the job comes. Like actually tomorrow, I'll be headed to Ohio for at least 2 weeks for work. And then so I'll be not able to campaign for the next 2 or 3 weeks, and then I'll be off for a while. So back in. So really, I don't really have any hobbies. I mean, I just kind of, relax. Relaxing is my hobby.
Okay. Oh, awesome. And I'm glad you at least get to relax somewhat. um, so, so some questions starting off with education. So your campaign mentioned making schools safe with help from National Guardsmen under Title 32. Can you just explain a little bit about how that would work in District
Well, I want
3?
to, I want to, I
Uh,
want to take the National Guard off the Lone Star program down at the border. They have 7,000 troops down there. That's all I hear from
mhm.
Republicans. Oh, the border's safe, the border's safe, the border's safe. Why do we still have 7,000 troops down there? My son was in the National Guard. First of all, the same thing. Somebody told me the same thing about being at the schools. They can't police. There's no policing. When you use Title 32, they can't police. I don't want them to police. I want them to guard, just like they're doing at the border. When they're at the border, they can't arrest anybody. They can't do anything like that. I don't want them to arrest anybody. I want their presence to be there at the schools. And when you talk to the National Guardsmen, and I've talked to several of them because, once again, my son's in it, or was. He just got out in September. They would love to be back in their communities. They want to protect their
Mhm.
kids. This is something that they want to do. They'll be back at home or in their general location, to where they can still go back to their house and do it. You know, Even if you just put one National Guardsman at a school, maybe he just patrols 3 or 4. It's just the thought. It's kind of like having the police tower at the parking lot. You don't know if there's a policeman in it or not, but it's being secured, and there's a chance. Just like we just recently had a guy get in the school with a gun here in Texas. I mean, it was just I think yesterday or the day before. If there's a National Guardman there at the door, he's in his greens and he's got his gun on him. They're not going to come. So and we're already paying them. It's not going to cost anybody anything. It's already the state's already paying these guys.
I gotcha. And just moving forward, okay, so TikTok is super sensitive and we'll get flagged if we say the G word too many times. So if we could just say weapon, that
Okay.
kind of
Okay.
skirts
Yeah.
the AI.
Yeah.
Yeah, TikTok has AI bots that kind of go through and hit people with restrictions. So hopefully we can skirt past that. I did want to ask you a follow-up question. So, a lot of the guardsmen are very young. How can you ensure that if they are placed at a high school, that they maintain professionalism where they may be around some of their peers?
I mean, that's just going to go back to, I believe that to become a guardsman, that you should be professional to begin with. I mean, you don't just walk off the street, right out of school and go to the guardsman. You got to go through training and everything else. So, I mean,
Hmm.
that's something that it's going to have to be. I mean, they're guardsmen. I mean, I don't know how to, I don't know, I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know how to answer that question because I give 100% respect to the guardsmen, but it's going to be just like your
Yeah.
teachers. There's problems with teachers too that, have issues. Nothing's 100%, but like I said, it's these guys are already trained. They're military trained and they're able to do their jobs. And if they're not able to do their jobs, then they need to be, expelled and put somebody else there.
Fair enough. All right. You did mention on your website that you oppose school vouchers. Me too. So, what percent of Texas public school funding would shift if the vouchers were adopted statewide?
I mean, right now it's $1 billion is what they're taking out of the statewide funding. But like I said, Abbott's trying to do with it even more. I think another half a billion. He's going to go to where what I believe Abbott is trying to shut down the public school system totally and go privatized. The problem with that, especially in SD3, is there's only a handful of schools. I mean, they're in
Hmm.
Lufkin, they're in Beaumont, and they're in Athens, Texas. All the other counties, that's three counties. The other 15 counties don't have a school, so you don't have a choice. And then saying that they're only doing the Christian schools. And then I said that to somebody that, oh, that's not true. They're doing Catholic. Well, I may be wrong on this, but I thought Catholics were Christians also. So
Yeah.
I'm not going to argue with somebody about religion, but they're only doing Christian schools, and there's no
Hmm.
transparency. They're not telling you, who they're not turning in, and the whole thing was supposed to be to let the lower income kids do it. Okay, they're giving you 10,000, what, $10,400. That's just part of it. It's going to cost you $30,000 to go to school. Where are these lower income families going to get the other half? It's not going to happen. It's
Right.
obvious that they're going to give it to the kids that are already in public school. And so you're just welfare for the rich is all you're doing with this. And it's coming out. You can go to any newspaper. I've been talking about this for a year. Go to any newspaper now and look at it. They're finding out that the kids that are getting approved are the kids that are already in private schools. I mean, it's obvious. They've done this in other states. It's not going to work here. And it's the only way it's going to change is the governor's he's got to go. I'm sorry, even if I don't win my district or whatever, that my opponent that I'm going against, Trent, he's oh well, I compromised. What he compromised with is he compromised on not allowing any new schools to get in the program. If you haven't been accredited for the last 2 years, you can't get in this program. So what he just did was he shut it down, and only the schools that are already now that are available, they're the only ones that are getting in. Period. So
Yeah.
it's welfare for the wealthy. That's what this is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Texas educates 5.5 million kids, and the teacher pay averages at about $9,000 below the national average. If you could sit down at a kitchen table with a District 3 teacher tonight, what would you promise them?
I'm not going to make any promises to anybody, but I'm going to guarantee I'm going to fight for everything that you can get. I think, like I said, I have several people in my family that are teachers. I don't want to sound like I'm trying to kiss anybody's butt on this, but teachers are the most important thing in any child's life. You can go back in your fondest memories. You always remember that great teacher, that great. So I've said that to somebody. They're like, "Oh, well, what about doctors? What about lawyers? What about the?" I'm like, "Okay, who taught them? Teachers. Teachers are they're who we give our kids' lives to to these teachers to teach them. My son had a problem with reading because they were more worried about the STARS test than to teaching my son how to read. So then they would send him home for me that has a job. I'm a single father trying to teach a 6 year old how to read and do math and all this stuff because all they did was STAR testing. So I want to. They should be. Texas is the number one state, or the largest state in the union. It should be the same with the teachers' pay. We need to be at the top of the line. The child allotment of $6,000. They're giving $10,000 for half a year for private schools, but our child allotment's what, $6,100. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. All they're doing is they're giving tax breaks to corporations, giving them tax allotments, They're taking all this money and they're buying these corporations and letting them reducing the regulations, and it's crazy. Texas doesn't have a funding problem; it has a priority problem with its money. Teachers need to be paid like they deserve to be paid. They need to be paid the top tier. They need if Texas wants to be number one, our teachers need to be number one right there with them. Our children need to have the allotment. They need to quit taking the funds from us and put them at the top. And let's teach these kids, because I'm telling you right now, if you don't teach your kid to read by the age of 6 years old, you're going to have a problem, because their brains don't develop the same and they have to be rewired, and it has to go a special different way. My son took him years, and it took me thousands and thousands of dollars in tutors and everything to get him back on grade level, because his teachers, when he was in the first and second grade, did not teach him how to read. And that's where I said teachers, they need to be paid. I'm for teachers to be paid number one. Our students are we're number 41 in education in Texas. We're the 8th largest economy. And we're number 2 on getting in debt. Every family's struggling right now, but we're 8th largest economy. Come on, guys. I mean, this is just it's 30 years of Republican leadership. I mean, that's all it is.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Which brings, I'm glad you mentioned some stuff about the economy, because those are our next set of questions. Let me just make sure no one in the comments had their own questions for you. But guest, if you do have a question, you can request up and speak, or you can type it in the comments and we'll ask it. So moving on to the economy. You've spent 40 years in the commercial flooring business, and the last 15 years raising beef cattle. So as someone who runs a business in a ranch, how has the inflation hit you personally?
Well, what hit me personally is whenever Trump got into office, I do remodels. Okay, when corporations
Mm-hmm.
don't have to spend their money, they keep their money, and they share their shareholders. They get their dividends back, and the CEOs get raises. So they don't buy new carpet for their business. Okay, they don't have to spend the money, so they don't put it in there. This trickle down economy myth it's BS. It's not true. It never has worked. It never will work. It never will. Like I said, what's hit me with the economy is all my supplies, trucks. I bought a new truck in 2023. It cost me over $100,000. The same truck that I bought in 1992 cost me $22,000. Okay, the raise in pay that I make for flooring has raised by 10%. So I make 10% per foot more now than I did in 1992. But everything, my supplies, my blades, my glues, my floor sweeps, my tools, everything has gone up about 500%. So that's how the economy has done me. Now, on the flip side of that, the economy is great with my cattle. Bad luck for everybody here. But I went from $500 a calf to $2,000 a calf. My calving business is the only thing keeping me alive right now. Like I said, I'm just like everybody else. I've had credit card debt. I've had to have, my bills have been late. I've done this, I've done that. I mean, I'm just a normal average person. My first time election, I never dreamed in my wildest dreams I would say that I'm 100% it. But like I said, I can't sit by anymore. We got to do something. We got to raise this minimum wage. I start my guys off at $18 an hour, and they're still having a hard time. My son, he's a veteran of the National Guard and the United States Army, and he works 2 jobs to pay his rent. This is ridiculous. How do I fix the economy? I'm not an economist. I don't know, but all I know is it ain't working. It ain't working. And give these tax breaks to the millionaires and billionaires, and good Lord, they're talking about bringing Exxon to Texas now. They're just how many subsidies are they going to give them? Come on, guys. They're not moving here because because of the weather. They're moving here because we're giving them something. So that's where I sit on the economy. Like I said, it's. All I know is I'm not going to vote for anything that hurts East Texas or anybody in Texas. I'm going to vote, and I'm going to create bills to help our economy.
Awesome. And let me guess, is Exxon going to West Texas?
I believe it's down by the coast. Down
Oh,
by
okay. Okay.
Yeah, so they can come in. Like I said, there's a big deal, and Abbott and all them are writing up about it in the newspapers about, oh my God, Exxon's going to move their headquarters. Well, yeah, well, sure. There's no regulation, less regulate, and now they're doing all this carbon capture. These places they're doing these drilling and they're putting carbon capture back in our ground. That's nobody has any idea what it's going to do to us. It's going to get into our drinking water. The drinking water is a whole nother ball game. When I hope you get to that later. But like I said, these oil and gas refinery people. I get it. It's part of life. We need it. I understand that. But there has to be a sensible way to do it. And why are we paying these oil companies money? They're making billions and billions and billions of profit. This isn't the red versus blue. This is the top versus the bottom. That's where it's going. We're just getting. I learned a long time ago from a company that I worked for. I was young. I was in my 20s. I bought a brand new Corvette one year, and the next year I bought a new Viper. And I was in a meeting one time talking, and the executives were like, we'd love it when you guys go out and buy these nice cars. I'm like, why? He's like, because you spend all your money, so you'll come in, you'll work for less. That is what's going on with these companies. They want us to be broke and uneducated, so we'll go to work. And it's the same way with me now. I'm doing jobs right now because I don't have any work. You know what? If I got to do it for half price, it'll put food on my plate. But I've done this for 40 years, and now I'm doing it for what I did it for in the 80s. This is it's pretty common sense wise. It's pretty simple to figure out what's going on. You keep the peasants broke, and they'll do anything for anything.
Yes, I'm starting to see that myself. um, so speaking of wages, Texas minimum wage we know is still at the federal wage of 7.25 an hour.
Which
Do
is
you think that reflects? Do you think that reflects the real cost of feed, fuel, and groceries right now?
You can't even buy. Okay, 7.25 an hour. Real do the math. I haven't sit there and run it down, but that's what 600 a week or something like that. And then after taxes, maybe 400 a week. So
Yeah, I think so.
you're bringing home like $1,500 a month, and your rent's going to be 1,200 a month. Like I said, my son, his apartment, and whenever he first got out, he thought all of his bills were paid. He's like, Dad, we're paying 1,900 a month. I said, son, you still got electricity and water and trash. He goes, no, no. I said, son, that's not how it works. And he was floored. It's basically now you have to have a roommate. Period. You have to have multiple people living in your home, or you're not going to make it. And people have to share car rides and carpool and stuff like that. And then the tolls. There's a toll booth on a toll road on every street that you go on. It's you got to put $100 a month extra for that. And now gas. I just paid $1 more a gallon for gas in the last week since this Iran war. It's. I think realistically, to be comparison, I think 23 or $25 an hour should be minimum wage. But I'm going to say that saying what it should be, but it's never going to get there in Texas. So that's where it needs to be raised up. And maybe we can do something like people say, well, these part-time jobs, these for burger flippers, they don't need this. Okay, well, let's maybe work it out to where a waiter, remember, I don't know if it still does it, but waiters used to get like $2 an hour and then they got tips. They had classifications. Maybe we can make a classification where, fast food or part-time can have a lower minimum wage. But then I think people would go and do, everybody would be hired part-time. But like I said, we have to bring up minimum wage. We have to. It's people are just they're starving to death, and they're loving it. The rich people are loving it. They don't care. They don't care.
Right. Absolutely. One of the ideas you plan on bringing to the state senate is imposing limits on corporate home ownership.
Well,
What percent of
that
home?
that already hit the governor already. That's already in law now, or a bill. So that's somebody already took my idea with that. So that's
Oh, okay.
yeah, that's happening right now as we speak. That was in the news yesterday, and I think actually Trump's even doing it too nationwide. So the Republicans are all on board with that now. So they haven't been, but everybody's on board. I don't believe I. here's what common sense tells me. Everybody gets taxed out of their house with property taxes. You lose your home. These large corporations that have money, they come in and buy it for pennies on the dollar, then they turn them into rental properties. I mean, that's just what's been going on, and
Mm-hmm.
that needs to stop.
All right. Well, that's interesting to find that out that someone in Texas introduced that. Okay.
I don't know if they
So,
introduced it or if
but
they're
what?
just, I don't know if they introduced it or if they're just falling in line with everybody. But that's the big thing that's going on right now. And like I
Okay.
said, and this is something new, so I'm not real informed on it yet. But this is already happening now. So at the federal level and at Texas
Okay.
level.
Well, I'll have to look into that. So when we're done here, I'll look into that. Uh, do you happen to know the percentage of homes in District 3 right now that are owned by corporations or investors?
You know what? I do not. But I think it's
Okay.
over to. I think it's over like 20%. I mean, I'm not. Don't quote me on it, but I believe it's like 20%, and that goes back to.
20%.
So it's. I'm not gonna. You know what? I want to delete that answer. I don't know. I'm gonna go ahead and say I don't know the answer.
Okay, well, that's fine. I don't either. I was just curious to see if you did. Okay, so if anyone has any questions, again, you could type them in the chat or request up. We're going to go ahead and move on to infrastructure. So my first question for you, regarding this subject, and I know we've talked about it. You worked in commercial flooring for decades. What so you know what it costs to build and fix things, of course. Texas has over 300,000 miles of public roads and as well as thousands of bridges that need to be repaired. If you're elected, where would you move money to? Where would you move money from to make sure some rural roads actually get fixed?
Well, first of all, I got to get in to find out where all this money is coming from. I've been trying to find the state budget, and I'm having a really hard time getting the actual budget. So I don't know where all the money is, but my understanding is that the federal government sends us tons and tons of money to fix these roads, and we're not doing it. The infrastructure
Hmm.
too with the broadband. The Republican Party stopped the broadband. The Build Back Better program from Biden, the Republican people have already stopped it. That goes back to infrastructure with the roads and all that stuff. That was already in place. Same thing with the big flood from Kerrville.
Mm-hmm.
The Republican Party had the opportunity to take money for this to happen, and they didn't accept it because it was from the Democratic Party. So there's funds there that are
Mm-hmm.
available from the government that are already being paid by tax people, by their tax dollars, and we're just not accepting it. We're just this flat out refusing the money.
Right.
So until I get into office and find out exactly where the budget is, I believe you're going to find out there's a lot of corporations getting abatements and tax subsidies, oil and gas, the big store, the data centers that are going crazy everywhere. They're paying all this money for these jobs, these buildings to get here, and we're not getting anything out of return.
Absolutely. I actually have been thinking about it, and I'm like, I wonder if um, the federal government can come investigate, Greg Abbott and people in our
Well, they could,
in
they
our
could, but
Congress to see where the
they
fraud
could, but
is.
they could, but they won't because they're buddy buddies. I mean, it's when you say
Yeah.
this is the good old boy system. I mean, anybody that knows this, like I said, I don't like being called a politician, and I never will be a politician. I want to be a representative. I don't want to be a politician because politicians only care about themselves. Okay, I don't care about
Hmm.
myself. I want to be. I could just turn all this off, go right back to the house, sit on my couch, and watch Gunsmoke for the rest of the day and be satisfied. But I can't sit here and watch what's happened to our children. Our children are our future. You don't support our children, to educate our children, and give them a life that's worth living. They're not going to be. It's not going to be here. I mean, we're not going to have anything. So
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. You did mention broadband. Are you currently aware of how many of your constituents are lacking high-speed internet at the moment?
I don't know how many, but a lot, because like I said, they stopped it, and even myself included. I don't get it because they put it in the roads, but my house is a mile from the road, and they can't put it into my house. So I have to pay $10,000 to get it put into my house, or I have to use Elon Musk, his
The
Skylab.
Starlink.
Or whatever. Yeah, and I'm not. I'm not gonna donate a penny to Elon Musk. Sorry, I'm just not gonna do it.
That's fair. I wouldn't either. I would rather not have
I use my
internet than.
phone. I use my phone. I got two phones. I got an AT&T phone. I got a Verizon phone, and one of them works great when the other one doesn't. So on the internet, so I do a hotspot, and I run all my printers off a hotspot, and I do my all I watch is Prime TV. So I do Prime, which I don't like it, but I have to have a movie every now and then.
Yeah. Okay. Um, so one of your platform initiatives was to protect water from being overpumped by corporate investors and create two water districts when counties can't afford their own, so that it covers the entire state, not just a few counties. How do you believe this will work?
Okay, well, what's happening is there's in East Texas SD3. There's a billionaire in Dallas named Kyle Bass. He came down to, I believe it's Houston County, and he applied for like 40 high pump wells. Well, there's no water district in Houston County, so he applied for them and he got them. And then somebody did a lawsuit, and then they stopped them, real quick or whatever to get these to get them stopped. What I want to do is Houston County cannot afford to fight this guy in court. Okay, so because there is no water district, and the Constitution of Texas gives all the counties the right to have their own groundwater deal. So I'm not going to overreach. I'm not going to do government overreach. Say, listen, we're going to take this and we're going to be your. No, we're going to give them the opportunity to get a water district and get it going and get their board of directors and get it all funded. And when they lack the funds for a lawsuit, this is not just their water; it's state water. We need to come in there and back them and with legislation, with legislation and laws, and go in there and fight them in courts. But first thing about it is the legislator has the right to conserve the water. It's in our Constitution. Okay. When you take it
Hmm.
out of the Constitution and they say, okay, well, we have the rule of capture. Everybody, the rule of capture, the rule of capture, rule of capture. I own my property, I own the water. Okay, that's true to a certain point. But the rule of capture is just common law. It's never been faced off in court against the Constitution. The Constitution of the state of Texas and the United States, it gives the legislative power to control natural resources. Well, here's another flip that I want to do. Natural resource water is not a natural resource. It is a life-sustaining resource. The Texas Senate,
Hmm.
myself, has 100% ability to go in and change and create change it from a natural resource to a life-sustaining resource and 100% conserve it. Okay, people are going to say, well, you're going to get pushback, you're going to get fought. Okay, then I'll do a constitutional amendment for the state of Texas. I need two-thirds of the House to do it, and then you'll find out who's for it and who's not. If two-thirds don't vote on it, because I guarantee you 99% of Texas is going to vote for their water. You're going to have a few people that say, oh, it's going to, but now it's like oxygen. If somebody's coming and taking our oxygen, we're just going to say, oh, well, it's their oxygen. They can do what they want to with it. No, that's not true. That's not true. We have to have limitations on it. I get it. It's a rule of capture. It's your property. It's in your ground. But to export it off of your land out of the county for sale, that is not right. That's not right, and I'm not going to stand for it. And my opponents have been in office for 13 years, 30 years, and they're sitting there saying, "Oh, there's nothing we can do. We can just compromise." That's I'm going to start. That's wrong. That is not going to happen. That's in our Constitution. The Senate has the power to change that. Period. But then you got to get the lieutenant governor behind it, and then the governor to sign it. So that's where your catch
So,
22.
yeah. Well, hopefully we can get a different governor and lieutenant governor
What I'm shooting on.
November.
Everybody on the Republican side saying, "Well, I got good. Well, I'm good with these people." They're not going to be there. The governor's not going to be there. Lieutenant governor's not going to be there. They're going to be new ones. You know what? I got a good acquaintance with them. I'm friends with them. I'm running around campaigning with them. So I have the ability to talk to them. And like I said, this water thing. Look at what is it? Is it Galveston now or Corpus Christi? Galveston, I think, is their water. They're drying up. The state's going to take over. If we don't get some big rains, and it's because we've been stealing the water and pumping it to other counties for the data centers. That's a whole nother thing. Trust me, I love AI. AI is fabulous. But here's the thing about AI. Am I overreaching it? We're going to talk about this later. Can I talk about AI now?
No, you can go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know if you was another thing down the road. Anyway, when you go to AI, AI can be fully run with coolant, just like your car with antifreeze. They don't have to have our water. They can use a coolant. And guess what? The electricity can be produced with gas. And Texas is full of natural gas. You do the AI centers, you run it on natural gas with a coolant, and guess what? Look at the money that you're bringing back to the state of Texas from the natural gas. It's a win-win situation. Now, the only thing I don't like is some of the locations they're putting that. They're taking some of our prime farmland, but that needs to go back to the local counties and let them vote on it and put where they want to put it. But to take our water and take our grid, our power grid away from us, that's not going to happen if I'm in office. We're going to make them do coolant, and we're going to make them generate their own electricity, or they're not going to produce AI centers here. And they have fully the funds to do it, and they can do it. They just don't want to spend the money.
I agree. And I've also seen a physician that I talked to, and I don't know, she was saying something about how they can cool it with like sodium and some
Yeah,
other chemicals so they don't even
there's
have to
several ways.
use
Yeah,
water.
there's several ways that they don't. You know why they use our
Yeah.
water? Because they're buying it for pennies on the dollar. They're getting it as cheap as they can get, and they're just disposing of it. And then, like I said, then it goes back into our water filter, into our aquifers, and what's in it? You're getting chemicals and stuff. We got to protect our water. Like I said, water is not a natural resource. It is a life-sustaining resource. We have to have it, and if we don't do something about it now, it's gonna be like these movies that you watch where people are running around fighting for, people are talking about water is the next oil. They're already talking about it. These billionaires are wanting to get rich on it. They want to use water like oil and sell it and make money off of it, and that's just not gonna happen.
It's crazy. Crazy times. Okay, so we're gonna start off with some rapid fire questions. So they're gonna be like real short, quick answers. Are you ready?
I'll go for it. I'll try.
Okay. Term limits, yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, one issue in your district Congress ignores.
One. Healthcare. Healthcare.
Okay, good one. One thing you change about East Texas on day one.
Day one, I changed our accountability. I'd,
Okay.
I'd hold it.
And in what? Okay. And in one sentence, why should your district trust you with their vote?
I'm going to do things. I got nothing to gain. I'm not doing this for my name. I'm not doing it for fame or whatever. I mean, I'm on Wikipedia. That's all the fame that I ever needed in my life. I never aspired to be a senator. I want to help people. I've helped people all my life. I enjoy helping people, and I want to help our youth. My legacy is to know that our children are growing up to have a sustainable, happy, productive life.
Absolutely. Okay. So you mentioned healthcare, so these next questions are around healthcare, actually. The first one, mental health. So mental health access is extremely important in Texas. There are 9 million veterans who don't use the available benefits. So how will you make sure every veteran is receiving the healthcare benefits that they've earned?
Well, first of all, that's the on the federal level, they're the ones responsible for the well-being of them. But on the state level, you can expand Medicaid like it's supposed to be, and allow these guys to get mental access. And also, I want legal cannabis for anybody that's a veteran. I don't want them to have a doctor and a doctor's card. I want them, if they have a veteran's card and somebody says, oh, well, what about their 18? If you're 18 years old and you're a veteran, then you deserve to have the card and you deserve to have the marijuana if you need it. Because in East Texas, you have to go to San Antonio or Shreveport, Louisiana, to get health care for mental access, for mental illness access is in two places. There are 6 to 8 hour drives. Do you know what's going to happen to somebody if they're wanting to kill themselves in 6 or 8 hours? They're not going to make it. I mean, they're
Mm,
just not going to make it. And for them to go and just, eat a gummy or something like that, if that's because Texas right now is illegalizing the smokable cannabis. So if it's just eating gummies or whatever it takes, 22 lives a day is unacceptable. I don't care who you are. I'll argue with you till I'm blue in the face. These are our military. They are the reason that we're sitting here talking right now, is because of our veterans have died and fought for our country, and we owe them the respect to get them the mental health access that they deserve. Quit treating them like crap and let's do something.
Absolutely. And I forgot to mention TikTok also doesn't like us talking about
That's
well, instead of the DYING or um
yeah. I got you.
self unaliving. We just say unaliving on this app. And
I'll
also
just say something
for
bad before they do something bad to themselves. We need to get them some help.
yes.
I'm sorry. Like I said, I know personally, they're not just veterans, but I personally know over 30 that have hurt themselves and are no longer with us anymore. And I told that to somebody, and
Mm-hmm.
they're like, "What do you mean 30?" I'm like, I thought that was normal. People are like, dude, I don't know anybody. My best friend that I grew up with last year, he took it. I mean, and there's we need help. I'm going to tell you that I could use some mental health. There's been trauma in my life. I'm not a
Mm-hmm.
perfect person. I think everybody could sit down. I was raised in the generation where, oh, you're man up, rub some dirt on it. You're tougher than that. Don't talk about it. You know what? We need to talk about it. We need to get out. We need to get out there and get our voices heard and talk to people. Get it off your chest. Quit holding it inside. That's one of the best things that I could ever done with myself is started talking to people when I was having problems. I talk to strangers, and
Yeah.
get it off of your chest. That's the best thing you can do. And our veterans, I mean, these are our children. First of all, most of them, these aren't the older guys that are doing it. These are our children. And they're doing it because they're traumatized. They're having trauma at a young age, and we got to get them some help.
I agree. I actually work in the mental health field. So I'm kind of familiar with, I don't know if in your area they have the Andrews Center. I know they do in Athens, um, but it's the local mental health authority. At least for that area. I don't know about your area, but each section in Texas has their own local mental health authority. So I work for the one in the Dallas area, and
Yeah.
yeah, I agree 100% that uh, especially in the rural areas, there really aren't like resources. So
Well, even
hopefully
even if that, like
that'll
I said,
change one
those
day.
districts, yeah, those districts there, they're not for the VA, for the veterans. So the veterans there, they
Mm-hmm.
got, from what I understand, they got two. Yeah, there are some, but if, like I said, if we expand Medicaid, then they'll accept the veterans in there too. They can go and get the help that they need without having to go to the VA. Like I said, that's what I'm getting at on the VA.
I would love that. Absolutely. So, um, and since we talked about you wanting to expand Medicaid, how many Texans do you think this would benefit?
Oh, good
If
Lord.
you could guess.
I'm going to say, I'm in the millions. I mean, I think it's to 20 million, I believe is what it is. 20 or 22 million is what it's going to affect. I mean, like I said, where I live at, if you have a heart attack, you're going to die where I live at because the fire departments are volunteer and they can't get to you and get you to the hospital in time. And so having Medicaid expanded, you will have the ability to go and get your before it happens. You'll get to go see it before it happens. You expand Medicaid, and we can have early breast cancer awareness, early pancreatic cancer, early colon cancer, and pediatric cancer. We can go get them tested at early ages and get this stuff taken care of before it gets worse. I'm about preventative, not reactive. I'm not reactive in my life about anything. I'm always want to be preemptive or preventative. I want to prevent things before it happens. If you think it's not going to happen, you're a fool. It's going to happen. We're going to get sick. Right now, I don't have medical insurance. Right now, my benefit is don't get sick. That's just the way it is. If I get hurt, rub some dirt on it and go home. I mean, that's just the way it goes. It's just, I'm 60 years old. I work for myself. I'm self-employed. I'm a large man. I got type 2 diabetes. I mean, they want $2,000, $3,000 a month for medical insurance. I can't do that. I can't afford it. So, we got to get some help. And I'm not asking for socialism. These people, oh, socialism, socialism. I mentioned free childcare to somebody, and they're like, oh, we don't want the government. That's government overreach. I'm like, to to help watch your children, is socialism. Like, well, you know what? Everybody has somebody that can watch their kids. I'm like, that is not true. That is not true. There's not somebody for everybody. There's a lot of people that got
Yeah.
nobody.
Nope, I'm one of those people that has to put my kid in after school care and
Listen,
summer camp and spring break camp and
I'm a
um
single
but
father. I'm a single father. I raised my son since he's 6 years old by myself, and I understand how hard it is. And I don't know how some of these. I had a great job. I had the funds. I had the money, and I was able to pay my way out of it. And I had a best friend that his wife had 4 kids, and she's a super mom. And on the summertime, I'd drop him off over there, and I'd pick him up 2 weeks later. I mean, he just lived at their house during the summer. So I was fortunate. Not if that one family wouldn't have been in my life, I wouldn't have had anybody for my son. I couldn't have ran my business the way that I ran it. So, we got to get, it's just, it's crazy. It's nuts. We got to get health care to get these
yeah.
kids taken care of. Like I said, like I said, I'm a big, everybody, my female side that I know has had breast cancer and had issues with it. And it goes back to early detection. You know what? They don't go get looked at because they don't have the money. And so they don't go. And then it's too late. And then they get on Medicaid, after the fact, because the state has to put them on it then because they're dying. So,
Well, and I kind of feel like if we just bring casinos back into Texas and also fully legalize the devil's lettuce, we maybe
I'm
could
one,
use that
I'm one,
revenue.
I'm 100%, I'm 100% behind it. I'm not running on it because I don't think East Texas is ready for it because it's a hardcore Christian community. The gambling, I'm okay with it too because we go with it, and we're going to do it. We're just going to the other states to give them their money. I mean, why don't we to keep it here? But what I'd like to do is I'd like to put it
Right.
on the Indian reservations. At the Alabama Cachado. Let's let them have it. That's their nation. Let them vote on it. Let them decide. Let them put the hotels there. They got some gambling now, but not like it is. But let's legalize it. But that goes back to the federal level too. So the federal has a lot of laws and regulations on what they can and can't do on gambling.
Absolutely. But I just think if we present it, well, I don't know. But maybe if you present it to hardcore Republicans as this is going to bring revenue to our state and help us offset taxes,
They're not worried.
maybe.
They're not worried about that. They're worried about getting corporate
Yeah.
kickbacks. Like I said, the two people that I was unopposed in my primary, the two people I ran against, they just spent $3 million to meet me in the election. That's how they both spent $1.5 million fighting each other just so they could go against me in the election. I've got maybe
Wow.
$1,000 in. They're getting all this money and they're like, oh, it's from corporate PACs. It's crazy. It's because they represent the insurance company represents all these people. They're corporations. I don't care what you want to call them. They're still corporations that are giving you the money. The individual people aren't giving you the money. It's just crazy. It's the money's here. Being a candidate now, I'm getting to meet people, that are running for comptroller and all this stuff, and I'm getting to talk to them. We need to, I hate to say this, there needs to be an audit. We need to have an audit of the state funds to see where's that, where's all this money going? The budget is $335 billion or something that we have. Where's all that money going to? They sure isn't
Hmm.
going to helping us with healthcare. We're starving our kids, not giving them SNAP benefits. Now we're cutting their sugar out. Oh my God, they're gonna drink a soda. Oh my God, I can't have lobster because they're gonna have a soda now. This is just nuts.
You're telling me. So, back to healthcare. I forgot we were still on that subject. My bad. Over 20
Keep
rural
talking, I'll keep
hospitals in Texas. Over 20 rural hospitals in Texas have closed in the last decade. I think we mentioned this earlier. So, how does that hit home for you personally, and what changes would you make to keep more from closing if you could?
That goes back to the Medicaid. I mean, we got to expand Medicaid. That's $5 billion that we're going to put back into our rural hospitals. Period. I mean, that's why they're closing, because they can't afford to take care of the people that don't have insurance, because people can't afford insurance. If you can't afford insurance, you got to go to a hospital. They got to treat you. They have to treat you, and then they kick you back out or whatever. And then everybody's on this illegal immigrants are using all of it. They're not doing it. Okay. And first of all, even if he is an illegal immigrant getting services, even if he is, which I'm going to say he's not, he's paying property taxes, which property taxes in your county goes to the county hospital. So somebody's paying for it already. So let's just go ahead and nip that in the bud. That, these people are getting this free health care. People are getting it paid for, but the state's not accepting the money because the Democrat wants to give it to them. And I'm telling you, they want to keep us broke. They want to keep us poor. They want to keep us sick, because we'll work for pennies on the dollar. That's just the way it is.
Yep, couldn't have said it better myself. Again, if anyone in the audience has a question, you can request up and ask it, or you could type it in the comments and I will read it off. Right now I don't see any, so we will go ahead with a couple questions on property rights. Regarding property rights, you are proposing eliminating property taxes, yet much of the public schools are funded through the property taxes here in Texas. So how will this be accomplished without defunding the public schools, do you think?
Well, that goes back to the first thing I'm going to say is I don't think that the state is short of money. Okay, we got to figure out where it's going. The next thing is I want to switch it over to a consumption tax with a value added tax. And I've talked to guys like, oh my God, then I'm going to pay 300 more for my refrigerator. I'm not going to vote for that. I'm not going that way. There's a House Bill 2220, that's been submitted year after year after year. That's actually a decent plan, and it sounds good. And it's going to just create a 7% tax across the board is all we're going to pay. And I would have to go in there and read it and put it on a on a committee, and we get in there and work that out, because that's also taking a lot of the corporate funding out of it. I don't think the corporations should get off paying their property taxes. So I think if you take that back out of it, I would never vote on anything that's going to hurt the lower income and middle class families. I'm sorry, but I just think to me, $1 million isn't that big of a deal if you have $1 billion in the bank. To me, $1 million is the world. So, and yet people say, "Oh, it's the same percent." It's not the same. It's not the same. It's when you're rich and you have everything, then you don't. It's nothing. So, like I said, it's a consumption tax with a value added tax. That's the way it needs to go. There's been several economists that have gone over and read it, and I haven't actually read the full bill. But that's that would be the way I'd want to go with it. But first thing I want to do is I want to get with the comptroller and see where our money's at. I'll bet you $100 to a donut. Can I say bet? I don't know if I can say bet on TikTok, but anyway,
Yeah.
they're giving tax abatements and they're giving loopholes to corporations. And that's where our money's going. I mean, it's obvious. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure this out. The money's there. We get tons of money from the federal government, and we're a red state. California gives us tons of money. They pay more in taxes and stuff, and the federal government gets it out. We just don't give it to our people. So,
Yeah. Okay. You are planning on introducing legislation that would return dormant mineral rights to owners. Why is this important, and who benefits from it?
well, like myself, I'm a landowner. Somebody can come on my property and strike oil and do whatever they want to my property and take their oil out because I don't own the mineral rights. That's just the way it
Okay.
is. If you own the mineral rights, you can access it however you want to. You can destroy the property, do whatever, and you might have to give the owner a lease to be on the property, but to access it, to get to it, but you can take whatever you want to. I'm sorry, but if you own your property, that goes back to property taxes. If you own your property, you should own your property. And then somebody will say, well, okay, well, what about the water? Okay, let's go back to water. The water has not a natural resource. It's going to be a life-sustaining resource. But your property taxes, I know who owns mine. Like I said, my great-great-grandfather came over here, and he owned them, and it's gone down, and died and he's passed away, and he's gone down, and it's gone from family to family, but it's still in his family's name, which I'm in his family also, but I'm not an heir. So there's three people that own the mineral rights to my property. And so if oil is struck in my neighborhood, they're going to come into my property and do what they want to with it. That's just, to me, is wrong. So there's some other states I haven't really gotten into it. There's so many other things that I'm going to be challenged with. That's one of the things I want to do. That's not on my number one day one list, but there's other states that are doing this. Maybe after 10 years or something, or 20 years, whatever, if it hasn't been used, it should go to the owner. Whoever's on the deed, that's when I say dormant. If it hasn't been used and you haven't been collected, you shouldn't be able to keep it and pass it on from generation to generation to generation if you don't own the land. You're not the deeded owner.
Absolutely. Okay. So we're gonna do some more rapid fire questions, and these ones are fun. They're not as political. So, the first one: coffee or tea?
Oof, soda. Tea. I'd have to say
Okay.
tea.
You're the second person that I've interviewed that said that. Texans or Cowboys?
Oh, I'm a lifelong Cowboys fan. I mean, I was born and raised with Bob Lilly and Roger Staubach, and I do like the Texans now. The Cowboys are horrible, but I'm a Cowboy fan.
Okay. Rodeo or state fair?
That's a tough one. Rodeo, bull riding.
Okay. Sweet or salty foods?
Mm, I'm gonna say, I guess, sweet. Not rich
Okay.
sweet, but sweet.
Fair. Summer or winter time?
I'm a winter guy. I can always get warm.
Absolutely.
I can put on more clothes.
Right, that's what I say. Book or movie?
Movie,
Okay. Tacos or brisket?
tacos,
Okay. And then calling or texting?
texting.
Okay.
Well,
Um,
to a certain point. If it's a long conversation, I want to talk. But if it's just a quickie,
yeah.
just text.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Okay, well, if nobody has any questions for Bobby, we're going to move on to some of our closing questions here. In the 2024 primary turnout, that was just over 3%. Statewide turnout, hold on. So I'm sorry, the 2024 primary turnout was just over 3%. So statewide, turnout in general elections are often much higher than in primaries. So how will you energize both Democrats and independents in District 3 to show up?
We're getting the word out. Like I said, that's the meeting that I was here today. We're getting volunteers together. The Texas Democratic Party is Kendall's doing a great job getting everybody together. We're getting volunteers. We're getting I mean, that's what we're doing. That's what this meeting was about, was getting together. We're working as a team. We're not working as individuals. Even we got runoffs going on right now. Even the runoff people here, we're all helping each other. Even the runoff candidates are helping each candidate. We want to turn Texas blue. We got to get in there. We got to have help. We got to stop the infighting. We can't be fighting with each other. We just got to get out and we got to get the word out. Most of these elections, they never hear from us, especially in my district. They don't even know most of them don't even know there's a Democrat running. We got to let them know there's a Democrat running, that they have an option. You read all the East Texas newspapers, they don't even mention me. They had a debate with the other two candidates. I called them up, say, hey, what's going on? Like, well, this is a Republican debate. I'm like, well, that's not what your paper says. It says it's a debate between who's going to be our next senator. And that's what the title was. I mean, that's
Oh,
just how it is
wow.
in these states. Yeah, that's how it is in these states. It's all the
Yeah.
papers in these states. I put a press release out to Athens newspaper. They wouldn't even release it.
Huh. Is the city of Palestine in your district?
Yeah, Palestine, yes, it's in there.
Palestine. Okay.
Yeah.
My father-in-law lives there, so I'll tell him to vote for you. um, okay. Second
Don't,
question for you.
hit me
What's
up.
something?
I'll meet him.
Yeah, absolutely. What's something you will not compromise on? District 3 has historically leaned Republican. Of course, we just have been talking about that. With recent general election margins exceeding 70% for GOP candidates, what is your strategy to appeal to independent and hold on? Why is there like three? You know what? So what's something you will not compromise on? I'm sorry.
Education. I won't compromise on education.
Okay. All
We gotta
right.
end this.
Awesome.
We gotta get rid of these school vouchers. We gotta put the education back in the communities. You know, Lufkin isn't the same as Beaumont. Beaumont's not the same as Athens. Athens ain't the same as Shelby County. You know, these are all different kids, different teachers, different districts. They need to be local control. You know, that's we gotta teach our kids. We gotta take care of our kids. Sorry. I'm a helicopter parent. I want to, you know, I'm all over our kids. You know, our kids are our future.
Absolutely. If someone watching this doesn't agree with you politically, which as of right now, I haven't had any disagreements in the comments, why should they still consider hearing you out?
We have more in common together than they do with the upper middle class, the upper class 1% of the people. You know, they're voting on these Republican issues. They're for the rich and wealthy people. We can sit down and talk because I guarantee you somebody in your family needs health care. I guarantee you somebody in your family needs help with education. Somebody in your family needs to be better paid. You know, somebody's sick and it has cancer. Somebody has mental illness. We have a lot more in common. You know, I'm an old Texan. I remember when we were all buddies, you know, when we were all friends and neighbors. We helped our neighbors. We didn't fight and argue with our neighbors. We helped each other. That's what I want to go back to. I want to go back to where we're friends and neighbors and we help each other and quit fighting and arguing with each other.
Absolutely. Um, so what do you want your grandkids or the next generation of East Texans to say about your time in office if you win?
That I didn't sit by. I learned my
Okay.
grandfather had polio. My grandfather had polio, and he always told me, you know, my son, he goes, listen, if you can breathe, you can work. And don't tell me you can't ever do something because look at me. I've never walked a day in my life and I've raised 5 children and I work my butt off and I pay and I take care of my family. So don't ever tell me that you can't do something. And so for me to sit by and just let things happen, my kids, my legacy is going to be my grandpa and I want to do my son. I don't have grandkids, my son. I'm trying to tell my son, don't just sit there. Don't let them take advantage of it. Do not accept somebody to bully you around because bullies are just bullying you because they can. You stand up to a bully, and I guarantee you they're going to back down.
Amazing. Well, Bobby, thank you so much. I've enjoyed talking with you this evening and learning more about East Texas.
Well, thank you.
As we head towards Election Day, what's your message for voters?
Get off the couch. You know, it used to be get up and vote, but it's get off the couch. You know, you don't
Yep.
sit by. You know, don't bitch and complain if you don't do something. You know, stand up for your rights. You know what? If you don't agree with, even if you don't agree with it, get out and vote. You know, make your voice heard. You know, you want to, if you're happy with the way it's been going on in Texas for 30 years, then you wouldn't be watching this show. You wouldn't be watching me and listening to me right now. You already have your mind made up. Oh, I'm happy. Every life is good. Life is not good in Texas. Life is going to crap right now. We're broke. We're barely getting by. People are starving. Gas prices are high and jobs are scarce. You know, we're working for wages that we made in the 80s and 90s. You know, I mean, get up and vote. Tell somebody to go vote. Get these young kids involved. You know, get our 18-year-olds and up. Let's get them involved. I was raised not to vote. It don't matter. Your vote don't count. Well, I never knew about you know, your mayor, your county commissioner, your judges. You know, those do. You know, you might not think that they count, but that's who you're running your cities. So the
Mm-hmm.
school board of education. You know, you're voting on all these people. You know, don't sit by. Make your voice heard. There's a lot of people that lived and fought for the rights that we take for granted. get out and do something.
Absolutely. Well, again, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I do want to invite you and the audience to our next event on Tuesday. We do have a roundtable coming up next Sunday, I believe. No, it's on the 15th. I apologize. So Sunday at 3 p.m., but 2 p.m. our time. Uh, 2 p.m. our
Yeah,
time
that
Central.
really got me because I'm working in Ohio. And I thought, well, I'm working in Ohio when I thought our spring forward that we caught up with you guys on Eastern Standard Time. So I thought we were the same, but evidently we're not.
Yeah. So it's on Sunday at 2 p.m. Central Time, 3 p.m. Eastern Time. It's just a round table where we're going to have candidates come in and talk collectively on, just issues. And if you'd like to join us, you are more than welcome to. It'll be here on TikTok again.
Can you send me a
Um,
email reminder?
we can, yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
because I
Uh,
actually in the morning I'm leaving for Ohio for work, and I'll be in Ohio working, so I'll actually be in a hotel room, but I should be off on Sunday, so I should have time.
okay, perfect. All right. And then we're also looking, anyone in the audience that doesn't already belong to the OVC crew, we're looking for more people. If you would like to join our team, please reach out. Um, Again, Our Vote Counts is a nonpartisan movement uniting Americans from all walks of life to empower voters, support candidates of integrity, and ensure every voice is heard. Through education, outreach, and accountability in action, we're building a stronger democracy, one informed vote at a time. So join us, your vote, your power. Everyone have a good night.